The dining room glittered like a magazine spread, crystal glasses catching the chandelier light, gold-trimmed plates arranged with surgical precision, a 12-foot Christmas tree glowing in the corner like a silent witness. The smell of roasted turkey and cinnamon filled the air, but my stomach had been tight since I arrived. This house always did that to me. My grandfather's mansion sat on a hill overlooking the city, its gates taller than my apartment building. Every Christmas, the family gathered here, dressed in tailored suits and designer dresses, pretending we were close, pretending money hadn't carved invisible lines between us. I took my usual seat near the far end of the table, not important enough for the center, not invisible enough to be ignored entirely. Grandpa Victor sat at the head, of course. He always did. 82 years old, self-made billionaire, sharp eyes that missed nothing. People admired him, feared him, even loved him. I did none of those things. He raised his glass halfway through dinner, the room falling silent on instinct. To family, he said, voice calm, commanding, and tradition. Everyone murmured agreement. Glasses clinked. I took a sip of water, hopping stupidly that tonight would be different. It was. His eyes landed on me, slow and deliberate. A smirk tugged at the corner of his mouth. So, he said casually, as if asking about the weather, you're still living in the house I bought you. The fork slipped from my hand and clattered against the plate. The table went quiet, too quiet. My cousin froze mid-chew. My aunt stared at her wine. My mother's face tightened, but she said nothing. She never did. I felt heat rush to my face, my ears ringing. That house. The one thing he never let me forget. Yes, I said after a second that felt like an hour. My voice sounded smaller than I wanted. I am. He chuckled. Good, good. Just wanted to be sure my generosity wasn't wasted. Generosity. The word tasted bitter. That house wasn't a gift, it was a leash. He'd bought it 12 years ago, right after my father died, his only son. I was 21, grieving, drowning in student loans, trying to hold my mother together while barely holding myself upright. Grandpa Victor had summoned me to his office, walls lined with awards and photos of him shaking hands with powerful men. You'll live there, he'd said, sliding the deed across the desk. No rent, but remember it's mine. Everything you have comes from me. I'd nodded, too exhausted to argue, too young to see the trap. Now, 12 years later, he still brought it up, always in public, always with that same smug smile. I forced myself to swallow and focus on my plate. The dinner resumed, but the damage was done. I could feel eyes on me, pity from some, judgment from others. The unspoken assumption hung heavy in the air. Still dependent, still nothing without him. What none of them knew was that the silence wasn't shame. It was restraint. Because if I opened my mouth right then, I would have said something I'd been holding in for years. The truth. Dessert came and went. Coffee was poured. Conversations shifted to stocks, acquisitions, vacation homes. I listened politely, nodding at the right moments, my heart pounding with every passing minute. Finally, Grandpa Victor pushed back his chair. I have an announcement, he said. Of course he did. He pulled a folder from beside his chair, thick, official-looking. I've decided to make some changes, he continued. At my age, it's important to know who deserves what. My mother's hands trembled slightly in her lap. My uncle leaned forward. Everyone suddenly looked very interested. Grandpa's gaze flicked to me again. And since we're talking about contributions, he said, some people in this family have taken far more than they've ever given. There it was. I stood. Every head turned. I think I should go, I said calmly. Grandpa raised an eyebrow, running away. No, I replied. My voice was steady now, just done being humiliated for entertainment. A murmur rippled through the room. My mother finally spoke, please sit down. I looked at her, really looked at her. Years of quiet endurance etched into her face. Years of choosing peace over dignity. "I'm sorry, Mom," I said gently. "I can't do this anymore." I turned back to my grandfather. "You asked if I'm still living in the house you bought," I said. "The answer is yes, for one more week." His smirk faltered, just slightly. "I close on my own place next Friday." Silence. Not the awkward kind this time, the shocked kind. My cousin laughed nervously. "Wait, what?" "I bought it myself," I continued. "No help, no loans, no favors." Grandpa leaned back, studying me. "With what money?" I smiled. "The company you never bothered to ask about," I said. "The one I started 6 years ago. The one you dismissed as a hobby." A few heads snapped toward me. "It was acquired last month," I added. Quietly. I didn't mention it because, I glanced around the table, I wanted one Christmas without being measured by my bank balance. My uncle cleared his throat. "Acquired by who?" I named the firm. Someone gasped. Grandpa's fingers tightened around his coffee cup. "And the house?" he asked slowly. "I'll have your lawyer contact mine," I said. "I don't want anything that comes with strings." For the first time in my life, Grandpa Victor looked unsure. "You think this makes you independent?" he scoffed weakly. "No," I replied, "it makes me free." I picked up my coat. "Thank you for dinner," I said to the room. "Merry Christmas." As I walked out, I didn't look back. The cold air outside hit my face, sharp and clean. I breathed deeply, my chest finally loosening. My phone buzzed before I reached the gate. A text from my mother. "I'm proud of you." I smiled. The house on the hill glowed behind me, full of wealth, power, and old wounds. For the first time, none of it belonged to me. And that felt like the greatest gift of all.